Diagnosing security issues helps to determine the severity of the problems and what kind of repercussions it could have on the server's overall security. In this video, I'll explain how to troubleshoot some common security issues. Let's take a look now at some of the common security issues that you might encounter in any given storage solution. And we'll start with file integrity issues and privilege escalation. Now, from the perspective of security, the file integrity issue isn't really so much referring to the fact that we can't load a file or we're getting read-write errors at a hard drive level, but rather the integrity of the data itself. If somebody is able to get to a file that they should not be able to, then they might corrupt that file with malicious data, or they might delete stuff that they should not be able to delete. Particularly if it's some kind of a database application. They can insert incorrect records, delete records, put updates in there that simply shouldn't be there. So file integrity from the perspective of security usually means is the information, the data itself, correct. So what you can do to prevent this, or at least mitigate it as much as possible, is to always implement the principle of least privilege. This is what's known as privilege escalation. Are you able to gain access to something that you should not be able to? So what you always want to do is to simply say, here's the minimum permissions that you require and nothing beyond that. You know, as an extreme example, if you made everybody a full level administrator, anybody could do anything. So you clearly don't want to do that. Obviously, we're exaggerating here a little bit, but the idea is to simply say you only need this, that's what you have, and nothing beyond that. There may be exceptions here and there where you can escalate their privileges, maybe just temporarily, but always start at the minimum levels and increase from there as needed. So, other common problems, applications maybe don't load. You cannot access file shares, or you're unable to open files. Now, in this case, this maybe is an example of the principle of least privilege going too far. But if you are trying to load an application that already has a file associated with it, again, such as a database or maybe a financial application, and you can't load it, it can be because of permissions. If you don't have permission to access the file, the application that is trying to access the file obviously is going to fail. So other network file shares, things like that you're trying to access, it will simply come back with an access denied error, and you won't be able to open them. Now, if you know that you are supposed to be able to open those, then you just need to bring that to the attention of administration. But these are the kind of errors that you will typically encounter. Now, if it is security, if it comes down to permissions, then invariably the problem is the error message is something to do with access denied. That's not indicative of a hardware problem or an issue with the drive itself. That simply means you're not allowed. So the access denied error message always comes down to permission. So again, it's simply a matter of should you have permission, and you just need to bring that to the attention of administration. Excessive access and excessive memory utilization. This isn't really so much the permissions on a file. So you might be thinking, well, what does excessive access and memory utilization have to do with anything? Executable files also, of course, have privileges associated with them. And if you are running an application, you can go into, in Windows, for example, you can go into your task manager and you can allocate more CPU time to a particular executable. And this is what's known as setting the priority of that executable. So within Task Manager, you can right-click the executable and simply elevate its priority. So that gives it more access to resources and therefore possibly more memory. Now, in some cases, you absolutely want to do that. If it's a critical application and you want to make sure that it performs as best as possible, you can go ahead and set a higher priority. But you need to be usually, maybe not full level administrator, but privileges beyond a regular user. If you are an administrator, you can set that priority to its highest level, known as real time, and that gives it the most access to resources. So that's good for that particular executable, but it comes at the cost of all of the other ones not getting as much time. So you always need to be aware of that, and you certainly, again, need to be aware of who is able to perform these elevations so that we don't have people just, randomly increasing the priorities of any given application. So always something that you need to be aware of on the executable side of things as well.